Well, hello, everybody out there in podcast land. Welcome to another episode of the Get Happy Podcast with moi, your host, Rudrani Davy. And the crowd goes, wild. Howdy, y'all. I want to introduce my sweet, dear, fabulous, sexy, hot friend and a seeker of truths and a student of possibilities of this reality, the very curious, lovely Christina Egar.
Thank you. Thank you, Rudrani.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much for being on the podcast with us today.
Thank you for letting me. I'm doing great.
Yeah. To tell the folks a little bit about you. I know you got children. You're married to a famous stand-up comedian, all that stuff. What's all that about?
Well, yes, I am married to a stand-up comedian.
That I adore.
That you adore. I adore too. He just came home today too. He was gone for a long time. He was in New York. And I'm originally from the tri-state area. I was born in New Jersey. I lived in New York. And I met my husband 14 years ago. And we lived in Queens for all that time. And in 2020, during this crazy pandemic, we packed up our 2 kids, our 3 cats, and our dog. And we moved to the South. And we moved into this big old house. And we just started a whole new life, like witness protection, basically.
I think it's very smart. As you know, moi, Rue here, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. So I also live in the South, and Christina is literally down the road. And we didn't meet because of her husband. We met because of now a mutual friend, and y'all decided to come take some classes with me. That's how we met.
We met in February of 2021.
You mean we passed our anniversary and didn't celebrate it?
I know, we did. We totally passed our anniversary. And I have taken how many classes with you?
Well, we did the Access Bars class, which is the first class in Access. You took Foundation, which is bars is a prerequisite. You took the money class, and y'all were gluttons for punishment because you made me teach it 4 rounds. You've taken countless little, video classes that are anywhere from 90 minutes to 4 hours. You came here for a relationship done different class. How do I know all this? It's kind of amazing. Idyllic memory I have. Am I missing anything? Oh, lots of body processes. And we did facelift.
Body processes. And we've kind of been like this since we met.
It's a true story. True story. I've even been on her husband's podcast twice, and he's been on mine once. So we were like, let's have the little lady on and just see what's up with that. So,
I'm sorry, I'm not as interesting as my husband.
No, I don't know about that. I don't know. Let's find out. Let the listeners find out, and they can judge later. You guys judge later and put it in the comments. Yeah. So how did you find Access, though? I mean, you found the South. You happen to be down the road from moi. That's pretty amazing feat right there. How did it happen?
I found Access back in 2016. I found Dain. I found a clip of Dain on Gaia, maybe?
Oh gosh, you guys, Dr. Dain here is who she's talking about. He's a co-founder of Access Consciousness. And I forgot that was one of your platforms that you like to listen to and you introduced me to, right?
Right. So Gaia is that network television show that has like all the esoteric and metaphysical stuff and alien, all the weirdo stuff that I love. And there was like this.
Oh my gosh, I forgot. You also took entity classes with me.
Yes, I did.
Talking to the other side people. Yeah. All right, go on. Just tasters, not full-blown classes, but we had a lot of fun with it. Anyway, yeah, we should talk about that night.
The entity night?
Yeah, but continue. Tell me how you got Access, and then we'll get there.
So I was just flipping through. It was the summertime. I was at my in-laws' house in Las Vegas. And, when you're with your 70 and 80 something year old and I have just the kids and I. So they do stuff like take naps all day long. So I would have all these long chunks of time with my kids. They'd be in the pool, and I just love Audible books. I'm a crazy fanatic for Audible books. So Dain came on, and it was like this quick snippet. He was talking about money. He was actually talking about money, and he was
our favorite topics.
And then he introduced the who does this belong to? And that's the first time I've ever heard anything like that in my life. This is before, so I fell in love with just the clearing statements before I even understood what bars were. So there was like a whole 2-year chunk of time before I even knew that, oh, you push on somebody's head and you could do things. I was just focused on, holy crap, who does this belong to? This works. And it worked. And I just dove headfirst into it. Bought all the books, and I was just,
I'm going to stop her for 1 second, because they're like, what do you mean, who does this belong to? So let me explain. Yeah. So we have a tool in Access Consciousness called Who Does This Belong To? For every thought, feeling, and emotion you have in your body. Because the way we see it in Access Consciousness, 99% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions are probably not even yours. But we're such psychic SpongeBob SquarePantses of this universe that if we perceive it, we figure it's got to be ours. I mean, have you ever gotten a thought that is so far from the truth of something you know that you would think, like, I should kill myself? And you know what? I'm not that person. Why would I get that thought? And what if you were just picking up on other people that were miserable with their lives and were like, I should really kill myself? Or an entity, we mentioned it briefly. These are beings without bodies that want your body. And so they're like, you should really kill yourself so I can jump into your body. Things like that. But who does this belong to? Dain, I don't know if you took the challenge, Christina, but Dain basically says, go out in the world, and there, for every thought, feeling, and emotion you have, ask, who does this belong to? And you'll notice that your body immediately lightens up, because in most cases, 99% of the time, we say in Access, it's not yours to begin with. And then what you can do is return it to sender with loving kindness and awareness attached. And it doesn't mean you're giving it back to them. Because the thing is you having that thought, feeling, or emotion, or you taking it on, doesn't actually clear it for them. It just kind of screws you. So if you can acknowledge that it's not yours and that you're just aware and psychic and send it back, your whole life changes. So sorry for that station identification break. I just want to explain, because not everybody has been searching like you. And I love that tool. And I just want to make sure people get where it comes from. So please, more.
That was a great explanation.
Thank you.
For some reason, when I heard that, what you just explained, it was like a whole entire new part of thinking just was given to me. Like, I downloaded all this, like, it just made sense. I don't know why, it just made 100% sense.
It worked.
Yes.
That's what, to me, I don't care how it works. I just know that when I started using that tool, I lightened up exponentially. And I realized that a lot of the shit that I think is mine is just everybody going nuts around me, you know? True story.
Yeah. So then I kind of just forgot about it. Life happens and whatever. And I moved on to the next book, and then the next book, and the next thing. And, nothing was really working. Like Dain said, he did all the things. He tried all the things he just wanted to be happy. And I was in the same position. And fast forward, 2021, moved to Huntsville, Alabama, and start making friends. Made friends with someone who introduced me to someone else who is in this field of holistic healing. And I was having a session with this person, and she brought up that book. And it was like, oh my God, I know that book. I know what you're talking about. So I came home after my session, and I was in the shower, and I was thinking about it, and I was.
As one does, we all get great thoughts in the shower. Have you noticed how we can change the world in the shower? Just saying.
Yeah. Only if we could just stay in there forever and just live in there. So I was in the shower, and I was thinking, I was like, why don't I have a story like Dain? And at this point, I was I realized that the bars were a thing and I wanted to learn the bars but I was in the South and I know I did explore it a little bit in New York and I just let it go. Plus I was looking for all the other things that people do, past life regression and all the other stuff. Anyway, long story short, we meet someone who teaches bars here, and she came here to Huntsville. Mm-hmm. So we took our first class in January of 2021, and then it's just been like nonstop. It's been. Then we met Rudrani in February, and I've done all the things.
Hmm. So just so you guys know, in case this is the first time you're listening to this podcast, even though I talk about it a lot, the first modality that we teach, and anyone can learn it. You don't have to be a healer or a chiropractor or a massage therapist. It's called access bars. And it's not going into the bar and having your favorite drinks or accessing all the different cocktails. It is accessing these thoughts, feelings, and emotions, kind of like, well, there's these different groupings that when you touch them on your head, and I reference to them as being like meridian points, because other modalities that I've done in the past, it's very similar to that. So these different groupings are about hitting kind of like a delete button for all the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you have that you've been aligning and agreeing or resisting and reacting to. So they're locked into your body. And in a one-day class, I've actually got one coming up pretty quickly, but go to rudranidavy.com and they're all there. I've got a couple of bars classes coming up. You touch them in particular groupings and it's like hitting a delete button. Okay. And the way Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, describes it, it's like having the best massage you've ever had with your clothes on. Because instead of working the musculature on the outside of your body, what you're doing is you're rotoring all the cellular memories, not just from this lifetime, but of any lifetime where you have decided to align and agree or resist and react, instead of asking, hey, who does this belong to? Is this even mine? Do I even want to create and generate from this space? So you guys, when you came to take it from me, it was the second time around.
Yes, but the first time wasn't really a first time. We didn't know what we were doing, and for me at least, I was like, I don't know what I'm feeling. I'm not feeling anything. Am I feeling something? I'm not sure. I kind of got cold, sleepy, hungry, and that was it. I can't tell you. And it was like 6-7 hours. We were just doing this. So it was like, by the end of it, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't feel like I accomplished anything.
Interesting. A lot of people wonder, am I actually doing anything here? And Gary talks about it too. He says, the first time I was doing this, I didn't feel nothing. I was like, hey, you feeling anything? You feeling anything? Because he didn't trust. I mean, he had a knowing of where to go because he actually channeled the information, but he wasn't feeling the energy of it. I mean, I feel lucky because I had already had a practice since 2000. I don't even remember now. Because I discovered bars in 2003, and I think I already had a different practice and was getting my bars run, but I didn't actually take a class till 2010. And then I started teaching in 2011. And by that time, energy is our first language. And by that time, I was very aware of energies. So it's interesting to hear you say that. And just so you guys know out there in podcast land, don't judge yourself if you're not feeling anything. You got to give yourself a few times before you can actually acknowledge that something's happening. And it could just be as subtle as your life is changing, or the people you've worked on, their life is changing. So when was it when you actually knew this stuff when could you actually perceive the energy of it? Or did you?
After we started taking the money classes with you.
Oh. That was shortly after the second bars class, wasn't it?
It was in March. It was after we met at your house. And when you started doing clearing statements, I saw how they were working like as you're doing them. Mm-hmm. Then I started to notice shifts in my house, shifts in myself. Like I stopped doing certain things. I stopped handling things certain ways. And I had an idea of what I thought was going to happen. That wasn't what happened.
Yeah. Never shows up the way you think it's going to, y'all.
No. My relationship with my husband changed. The way I handle my children changed. The way I handle stress changed. I'm sorry.
Go on, sorry.
I stopped having panic attacks.
Oh, wow.
I stopped having these bouts with anxiety. I stopped having to take medication for anxiety.
Wow, that's a biggie. Can you acknowledge what you've chosen to recreate your life? Wow.
So,
I mean, I had tools to give you, but you didn't have to use them.
How many people have you heard said it changes your life? And you hear it over and over, and you're like, okay. And I've tried all the things.
Yeah, me
all
too.
The things are supposed to change your life. Well, yeah. Look at your story.
My story's pretty amazing.
So, and it's just continuing to change things. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be able to step outside of your life and watch the old you like turn into the new you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yes. And it's funny because I know that when I was on the podcast with your husband the first time, he said, well, he called me Yoda, and said that I had all this wisdom and all this stuff, and said that, he noticed, he was curious about me because he noticed such a big change in you. And you know what? And I'll receive that. I thought it was, it was very sweet. And I acknowledge that maybe I'm a catalyst to that, but if you don't choose it, it ain't going to happen. It's like, I got a lot of this book, which is the reason why we even have this podcast going on, Choosing Happiness. A lot of people, I got so much shit for this book in the beginning. What do you mean I can choose my own happiness? So a lot of people don't know that it is actually just a choice, that it doesn't matter what family you were born into or your lot in life, which you hear a lot in the South. Well, this is my lot in life. This is the way it's going to be. Yeah. You know what? Look at Oprah. Oprah was born in the South. Look at her lot in life. You can change your stars, people. You really can. No joke. But you can't if you don't think you can. And that's just a choice also. And I'm an allowance of whatever you choose. I know personally that I can choose happiness. On the ticketed talk, I'm Rudrani Davy, the happiness lady. I am addicted to the ticketed talk. So please don't go there and see my silly antics, But I just ripped off the tools of access consciousness. These are the 10 keys of total freedom is what's in that book. I just used myself as an example because a lot of times I know that stories help me decipher what's real and true for me. And then one of my favorite tools is a heavy light tool. What makes you feel lighter is true for you. What makes you feel heavy isn't. Have any of you ever walked into a room and felt heavy suddenly? And you're like, whoa, something up here. What's this? And what if you're just aware? And what do we do with that? Sometimes we try to make people feel comfortable. Me, I just back that thing up now. It's like, oh, I don't want to be here. This is heavy. Get me out of this mess. But here's something I want you to talk more about because I liked where you were going with it. This piece about, it's almost like the old you watching the new you take over. And what if that was you all along and you just weren't aware of your capacities until you had the tools to point them out? What was that like for you?
At first it was frustrating, and I have to commend you because you have so much patience. And so you spent so much time saying the same thing over to me without judgment and without attaching any emotion to it. You were just basically saying the same thing over to me until I got it. And that same thing
you get it.
And you kept saying, well, what do you know? Right? And I'm just like, why does this fucking lady keep asking me, what do I? Sorry.
She say, fuck, she's just called me what's that fucking lady asking me what I know? I wouldn't be coming to her if I knew already. What the hell? What the hell? No, sorry, go on. That's my tickety talk voice. Go on. Because I knew you knew. Empowering people to know what they know is the tagline of Access Consciousness. And the first line is, all of life comes to us with ease and joy and glory. And it does. Even the cranky pants, get your panties in a wad moment, come to you with ease and joy and glory if you know what you know. And we empower you to know that you do know, even when everybody else has told you you don't know shit. You actually know for you. So that's why I kept asking you, well, what do you know, Christina? And you're like that crazy. You know, I can only imagine. I'm doing the explicatives in my head.
But I was coming from my limited point of view. Like you were the one who had to make me peel away all the years of crap. Right?
Like I made you do anything?
And
you chose it.
Yes.
Please acknowledge that you chose it.
I chose it.
Okay, thank you. I can't make anybody do anything unless they choose it. True story.
And the idea that I'm co-creating everything. Mm-hmm. That took me forever to get. And when I finally got it, I was like, I know this. Yeah. What am I doing?
Yeah, you know, that's the thing. You can create happiness. You can also be a creator of crap of magnitude, you know, just a choice. Yeah. And the thing is if you want to create crap, please just indulge in creating crap, y'all, out there in podcast land. Because the thing is that if you really indulge in your suffering, you'll see how funny or how unfun it is or can be. And then you might actually open the doors to creating something greater. And what could that look like? You know, it's all just a choice. So, well, this is fascinating. I apologize, listeners, because I know y'all are so intrigued and pulled in by all the things, but we got to pay the bills. So we got to take a little moment for our sponsors. So stay tuned. Come right back. We'll be right back.
Now a word from our sponsor.
Feeling a little funky? Devi Essentials Pure Oil Blends can maximize your inner balance. These 100% pure oil blends are designed to vibrationally open up the channels within the physical and multi-dimensional bodies. Your body. So if you're trying to find your groove, let these pure essential oil blends work for you. For more information, go to RudraniDevi.com. That's RudraniDevi.com.
What creations are asking to be in this world? What would they like to look like? What contributions are your creations? Here at Designing Essentials, we ask these questions plus many more on how your creations can contribute not only to your life and living, but also to the world. Design in Essentials. Be you. Design your life. For more information and discover possibilities with your creations, visit www.designinaessentials.com.
With the lovely Hottie Pants. You guys are going to have to go to the YouTube to see how beautiful she truly be. Inside and out.
Aw, thank you.
Christina Egar. I like she's but it's true. It's true, beauty. It's true. So we were talking more about you gets it when you gets it. I kept telling you or asking you, actually. I don't tell nobody nothing. I just kept asking you, what do you know? And when did you finally realize that you knew? What actually took place? Was there a moment?
There wasn't an exact moment. It was just, I could look at things that were going on in my life and I'm thinking, well, I handled that pretty good. Holy crap, that just happened and I handled that pretty well. So, and I can't attribute that to anything other than what we've been doing, and not to mention, so when I first started taking classes with you, let me just tell people who have never been in your company. Rudrani is like a snow globe, right? And every one of those little pieces of snow is like a light. So it's like being in this, like, she's just like, when I first met you, you're just like, and I was just like, okay. And we were just like we kind of do that with each other, right? We kind of like just bounce off each other. We get immature, we get silly, and every time we come to your house, it's like that. Going to restaurants, it's like that. Going anywhere with you is like that. So when you're in that, I was just like a little kid. I was like, this was so much fun. This lady's so much fun. I wasn't really absorbing the information. So I think that's why it took me so long, because I was just wrapped up in like everything we were doing. All the other people I was with were taking notes. They were dead serious. I'm making jokes. I'm just like, we're snacking. Like, I wasn't absorbing the information. I was just absorbing the energy. I was just so in love with like everything in that moment. All the things, your house, your mom. It was just overwhelming in a good way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So,
the cat. No, just joking. There's also Pepita. Pepita was like talking to everybody.
Not me. She hates me. But so it took a while for me to like pay attention and focus on what we were doing and get it. And then by a while, I mean, I don't know, a couple classes. I didn't get it in the first 2, 3.
Oh, but is that true?
Maybe I did. I didn't feel like I did. I'm telling you.
Everybody, this is what we're taught to do. We judge ourselves because we're taught that we have to learn a craft and know it, and then we can implement it. But what if you?
But my friends were taking notes. I didn't write one note down.
Well, is it your way to take notes? I mean, I'm a writer. I've written 3 books. This one now speaks Russian of all things. So Spanish, Portuguese, Russian. It's being translated into Arabic. Who knew the Saudis wanted to be happy? Is what I want to know. Somebody give me a clue. But when it's a request and it pings, and when I say ping, that's that. Did you hear my computer just pinged? Right on target. I forgot to turn the things off. Sorry about that, y'all. But pinging to me means light and heavy. So if something pings, it's like I always know to text somebody and they're like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. It's the same kind of thing. The book was like, hey, it's time to speak Russian. And then it literally, I mean, today is, I don't know what the date is today. What is today? Something. I can't find it.
13th?
Anyway, it's what?
March 13th?
Is it 5th? No, it's not that. It's
no, 13th.
13th. Okay, so 13th. Yeah, here we go. So the thing is the book and so it's a Sunday, just got published Friday. And I'm leaving Wednesday. Thank you. In Russian. I'm leaving Wednesday to go to Global Foundation in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, to continue my certification for Global Foundation. I have to take it every year from the 2 guys, Gary and Dain. And last year I was there was a lot of Russians. Okay, so we Americans, we was the minority. There were a lot of Spaniards. My book had just come out in Spanish and sold out. And so, there's this big Russian population, like, why the book don't speak Russian? Gosh, I feel like I'm representing right now. Y'all go to YouTube. Even though I got this hat in Turkey, it looks very Russian. So, but it's cold here in Nashville. And so I promised them that I would eventually get it translated. And then here we go, getting ready to go to Global Foundation. And their dollar's worth a penny right now, y'all. I don't even know if anybody could afford this book. It's like, and it's a little book. It doesn't really cost that much, but a lot's been going on in our world,
So interesting. You just got it translated
in
Russian of all things.
But
in the world.
And it's interesting that you said that, because I've been saying that too, but I still get that now is the time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Access that I love, gosh, probably the most. And that's a big statement for me to say the most about anything, is that there are a lot of decisions I make in my life that I know a lot of people would think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for making them. And they may not create and generate what I think they're going to create and generate, like publish a book in Russian, you'll go to Global Foundation, there'll be lots of Russians there. It'd be such a contribution. And what if nobody could afford it? Or what? I don't even know what's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to be able to get to the class. I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is I follow the energy, and it was light, and it's still light. It's still light. I don't know. Perhaps I created for the future. And that's the thing, you know, you never know what you're going to create, but if you follow the energy, you know that you always know. And I know that I've made decisions in my life that didn't make sense, that led to something greater. You know, it may have been, oh, not my best decision, but it was light. And I'm like, well, it felt really light for me to create this or to go in this direction. Like, for example, if I create a class and no one signs up for it, I'm like, well, what did that do? And then like a year later, I'll have a class and somebody will say, yeah, I wanted to take it that one time, but I couldn't get in. So I kept watching to see when you were going to teach it again or blah, blah, blah. You never know what future you're creating, but you always know that you know if you follow the energy. And then you don't judge yourself. It's that space of allowance of yourself. Hey, what if I didn't judge me? Even if my family says I'm crazy for doing this or doing that or whatever. We're building a sunroom so that I can teach bigger classes. It's going to be the biggest room in the house. And you've seen my big room. You've been in there with the big screen TV and all that. We want to be able to get 30 tables in there, girl. I'm hosting my first 3-day with Andrew Gardella, April 15th, 16th, 17th. You're going to have to come, girl. You're going to have to come. But the whole thing was, my brother said, no, you sure you can afford this? Don't you think you're strapping yourself a little too far? But the thing is if it's light, I know that if I actually choose it, it's kind of like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. If I build a sunroom, they're going to come. I already have 2 classes scheduled for there. But besides that, the money has shown up exponentially. Was able to make the down payments. It's the same as cash deal. It's like I'm not losing money. I'm just paying over time. And to me, that's kind of brilliant. I'm using this reality to create my field of dreams. And those people that can receive it that are ready are going to show up. And you showed up. And this is the part I want you to acknowledge. You may have thought that the first 2 classes you weren't paying attention. You kept coming. So you knew something. You knew something. And now, don't you trust your awareness? Like, yes. Don't you trust your awareness more than what anybody else tells you, including me?
Yes.
Isn't that cool?
I do now.
That's the takeaway. It's like what I love. That's why I said the biggest thing I love is that you know that you know. And once you get to that space of being an allowance and trusting you, that even if you make a decision that doesn't really look that great, it ends up creating more anyway. So I've got a kind of a little, I'm going to tell the story on myself. If you want to hear it. You want to hear it? Here goes.
Of course.
Sorry. Here's my story. You want to hear it? Here it goes. Was that Saturday Night Live? I don't remember now. I digress. The AD chicken. Do you remember that?
I know exactly what you're.
You might be too young.
I think you're right. I think it's Saturday. Got a song about it?
Yeah. I wrote a song about it. You want to hear it? Here goes. Anyway. So Access has this big thing going around. Make a list of all your 2022 asks, even if they're outrageous. So I had been to Florida teaching a relationship done different class. I guess it was October of 2021. And Celeste and I were, my mother Celeste, and I were walking the pier every day. It's like 3 miles, 1.5 miles out, 1.5 miles back. Every morning after the breakfast, so we can digest and do all the things, watch the seagulls. And one morning, there she was. This beautiful, silverish blue convertible Bentley. And I could hear the angels singing. And I just stood there admiring her. Wood dash, leather interior. And my whole body went, I want to go to that. And so I said, so let's stand over here and let me get some pictures. So she's just standing over here and I'm like getting the Bentley in the corner, the pictures. And I said, Celeste, I wonder what it would take for me to have a car like this. And she says, it looks like a very expensive car. And I went, well, you know, they're custom made. They're like 150 to begin with, I think. I said, but I bet I could get a used one for like 50,000. I don't have to have a brand new one. And then right then this guy walks up with his daughter and he goes, you know, there are a dime a dozen here. You can get a used one for about 50 grand. And my mom just looked at me, her mouth drops. And I went, okay, universe, I'm putting it out there. For 2022, I'd like to have a Bentley. Now, I can always change my mind in every 10 seconds. But every morning when I'm asking, because I get my hot tub with all my big asks, hey, universe, show me the potency, the magic, the miracles, show me the money, show me the people that are ready, show me the classes I'm ready to be, you know, in facilitating or, you know, or being facilitated, all the things. That's how the sunroom came about. Because it was like, I kept asking questions and then, you know, and I interviewed all the places and it was the last one. I didn't even want to interview them because they didn't show up for one of the meetings. I was pissed, but I got that it would create greater if I just heard them out. So anyway, here I'm asking about the Bentley. And then Dr. Dain tells us to write down 10 things we want for 2022. And I thought, no matter how outrageous it is. So the very top of my list, I said, I want a convertible Bentley. I would like to have that. I would like to travel more. You know, I would like to, you know, whatever, triple my income, spoil my mama, go eat Korean barbecue more often, but wear the appropriate clothes so I don't smell like. This is the thing, you guys. If you're going to eat Korean barbecue, do not wear your full length mink coat, okay? Because you're going to have to air that thing out later. Just saying. Oh, I think you're muted.
I'm sorry. How long did that take for the smell to come out?
Well, I put it in the garage and then I would open the doors for like an hour and close it and go back and smell. And I'm like, about 3 days. But I undressed in my garage and left the clothes there. And then I got in the shower. But it's delicious stuff, y'all. What was it? Yabby yabby? What was it called?
Shabu shabu.
Oh, shabu shabu.
Just got a plug from us.
That's right, shabu shabu. Free meal on you. Okay, so anyway. I digressed greatly, but the point being is I follow the energy and I put it out there. It's a big ask. Now, the funny thing is there's only one car in the garage, in the 2-car garage, and it's my Mercedes. My mother's car is in the driveway because I have massage tables set up on the other side for when we do bars, trades, and practicums and classes. And don't get me wrong, I've got a nice garage, don't I, Christine? It's clean.
Oh, yes. I love your garage.
It's tricked out. We got lights hanging, mirrors everywhere. All it's missing is a crystal ball. I mean, not crystal ball. What's it called? A
disco ball.
If we had that, we'd have it all. There's a cable television in there. There's a gym. It's nice. Okay, but there's no room for 2 cars. But once I have the sunroom, then I will have the other tables, right? So Celeste says, well, if you get the Bentley, I guess my car is going to be living in the driveway. I thought, oh my goodness, even she sees the possibilities. And it also occurred to me that she's not comfortable driving in and out of the garage because she's never done it. Only I've driven her car in and out. So what else is possible now? Follow the energy and you could have a Bentley, y'all. I don't know. Just depends on what you'd like. I do have another question for you though. We've just, talked about actualization. I'm actualizing this sunroom. I've actualized a lot of things. When we were doing the money class, I actually had a dog come up to me with cash in its mouth. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, when you're willing to receive money from anything and everything, it will come to you with ease and joy and glory. And sure enough, a dog comes up. I'm looking around. I don't see nobody. I'm like, is this for me, Rover? So do you have a moment where you know that, because in the class, I made you guys ask for a lot, like this 2020 ask. For the money class, it was like, write down things and did you write things down and did you get things? I know that you weren't writing things down earlier, but I know that some things got actualized from that class because I remember you sharing. I just don't remember what it was.
I'm very unprepared today. I was writing in that. If I pulled out my money book, I have all the notes. I actually took notes in that class because it was actually working. The money was like, that was so much fun, putting money under your mattress and
I was saying, what money was your love? I was like, put the amount of money you think a rich person would have in your mattress or in your purse and don't spend it. That way, every time you open your wallet, you see it or whatever, do something and don't have a point of view about it. And once you're willing to have money, if you're willing to have it, then it starts showing up. It's kind of incredible how that works. It really is. It really is. There's a story, I won't say who it was, but there was a story of somebody in Access that kept putting all the cash, whenever they made cash, in their safe, and they didn't know how much was in there. And by the time they checked on it later, it was enough to buy a piece of property. I know. I'm not going to disclose who that was on the podcast, but I'll be happy to share with you later. It's like, oh my God. Because if you're willing to have it, I mean, it was probably, I don't know, having babies in there, probably put, every $100 bill you put in there, 1,000 shows up, who knows? When you're willing to have it, money comes. Yes. Money comes.
Not having a point of view. That was another thing that took forever to sink into my head. Not having a point of view about something.
Yeah, explain that one.
Well, I mean, I learned this from you. You are the one who solidified it into me.
Oh, wow.
Because we talk a lot on the phone and, I've been a part of signing up for classes, and then there'd be 15 people, and then I'd be the last person, and then we'd have to move the class. So I always felt like I watched you not get upset and not have a point of view about it. And then Well,
everything changes in every 10 seconds. And if I'm going to get hung up on it, I'm like, let's go. What else? Because sometimes the timing, although I don't want to make timing significant, sometimes creating the idea is enough. And you're really creating for the future, like I was saying before. Like when I had a class and nobody signed up, and then later I had a class and there was like 20 people in it, and 2 of the people were like, oh, I've been trying to get classes with you. I just create. And I mean, I love facilitating. So I didn't have a point of view, and that kind of, what how did that affect your world? Evidently it did, because you remembered it.
Because I mean, because your point of view, if you get attached to something, that's something, especially if it's a negative something, it's going to attach itself to you, right?
Well, what if, because see, negative point of view is a point of view, positive point of view is a point of view. What if it wasn't negative or positive? What if it wasn't right or wrong, or it wasn't good or bad? It was just a point of view.
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
Attach any energy to it, then it's not going to create anything negative or positive or anything. It's just going to be a point of view, and it doesn't affect you.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you used to constantly say to me, you would cut me off in the middle of saying something too. You'd say, that's an interesting point of view that you have that point of view. And I was like, I know this means something. And it took forever to sink into my brain.
But like, was it your point of view to begin with? Because a lot of the things that we believe are impaled points of view. Do we ever ask if it's really true and real for us? And that's where that light heavy tool comes in. It's like, hey, is this my point of view? Oh, that's heavy. Gosh, it's not even my point of view. And then you don't even have to know where you bought it from. You could just go return to sender with loving kindness and awareness attached. Or if you don't want it with loving kindness and awareness, just return to sender. And like I said, it's not going to hurt the person that you sent it back to. That's new age bullshit. It doesn't hurt the person if you're aware of something going on in their world that you're taking on to heal them. It's not going to heal you. It's not going to heal them. But if you send it back with awareness, they might get an awareness that they need to do something to change it. And so what you've done actually is you've given them the opportunity to choose something different. And whether they choose it or not is up to them. But you don't have to fix it for them.
Yes.
So when did you stop? Not your job, honey. So when did you finally stop having a point of view?
I'm hanging out with you.
Yeah, it's all my fault again.
Within the last, 12 months.
Yeah. So that's why your husband calls me Yoda. I love it. So I've got to do a plug for your husband. So Christina Egar does a podcast called The Shuli Show. Actually goes, The Shuli Show. He should have me sing it. I think he needs to redo it and have me sing it. Don't you? Anyway.
Yeah.
That's just my interesting point of view, y'all. Doesn't mean he has to sing. But anyway.
When we finish here, I'm going to barge into his podcast that he's recording right now, and I'm going to demand use that song. Like Rudrani sing it.
Dude, I mean, come on. She's got access to multiple studios in Nashville because everybody loves recording Rudrani. Anyway, I digress. But yeah, I mean, he had me as a guest. He was very generous. He had people asking me questions. There was one question, it was so funny. It said 2 shooters on the grassy knoll, and I went, oh, well, I can't confirm it, but it's light. And then somebody said, I said, now I can't predict lottery tickets or anything like that. He goes, well, that was the second question. He tosses it aside because there's too many variables. You know, every 10 seconds is a real thing. It's a real thing. Just like you create a class and then it doesn't happen. Every 10 seconds. You know, you got 10 seconds to live. What are you going to choose? Okay, you're dead. You got another 10 seconds. What are you going to choose? Oh, you're dead. You got another 10 seconds. What do you? Oh, maybe I'll take a walk in the rain. Maybe I'll go hug my cat or my mother or my, you know, insignificant other or whatever it is. It's kind of like when you're living from the space of every 10 seconds, how can anything let you down? You know? And we make so many things in our lives so significant that if we didn't, what could we actually create and generate? You know, what kind of happiness could we embody? Because our true nature is to be happy. All this other stuff was learned. So when you come from that energy space and consciousness, it's like, wow, I can recreate my entire life. And that's what I've been doing. How can a relationship coach, right voice for you coach, certified access consciousness facilitator of magnitude, create a Bentley in 2022? Well, just stay tuned. It could happen. I have a pretty good life. I travel all over the world. Well, I will be again. Italy's in the books. And it's just because I'm choosing it. You choose it and it will come, you know, field of dreams.
You know, the point of views that we have, I'm going to tell you a quick little story about just the other day.
Yeah.
So crazy that we even I still, after studying with you, Yoda, I still have point of views attached to me that I don't even realize they are until they're triggered. So my grandmother used to always have this thing with putting, like if you got new shoes and if you put them on the table, it was bad luck.
Wow.
And for whatever reason, she had a lot of superstitions, but that one always stuck with me, my sisters. It was just something that was like, almost as if it was true, right? So the other day we came home from the store and my daughter put the shoes on the coffee table in the living room, and immediately that charge to that point of view hit me.
Yeah.
And I was just about to say, you know, and I went unconscious and I just went into, hey, take those off the table. And I'm like, wait a second, this isn't my point of view. And I don't even believe it. I think it's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And you know where I learned that from? Obviously from Access and from you. The day I told you the story about how much I used to love mint chocolate chip ice cream. And my sister said to me, you can eat mint? That irritates my stomach. You know, mommy's like that too. It'll probably start bugging you.
Oh, no.
And I took that on. And it's been about 20 something years. And I stopped eating my favorite ice cream in the world because everything that had mint in it would give me a stomachache. And you cleared that. We did a clearing. We did all the things. And now I can eat mint ice cream again.
You can change anything. Remember when you got bitten by a wasp at my house?
Walking into your house. Yeah. Right in front of my daughter.
And I was like, come here, give me that hand. And I just ran a process on it, and you can change anything, y'all. And was it a minute?
She still talks about that. She's like, remember when Rudrani made that she put her hand on you and the sting disappeared. It was a weird sting too. It was like a long, like stinger, and then it was like a long, oh, who knows, maybe I was
a
having
little
a
circular
reaction.
thing, and it was rising up like a popcorn kernel. Well, you know, I call it my parlor tricks, but there was one time where I was trying to nudge something out from underneath the couch, and I got a rug burn on my hand, and I'm bleeding. And my mom was like, "Oh my God, you're bleeding!" And I went, "Ah, that's annoying." And so I just grabbed my hand and I sat down, and we were watching her soap opera, you know, and Days of Our Lives, another plug. And I'm looking at it, and I take the little napkin, I'm dabbing it, and then I'm doing this, and I'm having lunch, and so I'm take another bite, I put my hand here, and within 5 or 6 minutes, now the wound is completely shut. It just looks a little red, like, you know, a regular rug burn where you're not bleeding out. And so I just kept holding my hand and running a process. And you guys, you know, feel free to try this. This is an access consciousness process. It's called cellular memory POC turn. And POC stands for point of creation turn. And what it is it brings you to the cellular memory of when it was actually created and turns it around. And you just ask for the energy to run, and it will. And that was one of the first processes I learned in access. So I just sat there, and then I got done, and it was gone. My hand was normal. And I remember my mom, such a funny look on her face. She goes, "Why are you not booked up solid?" And I went, "Celeste, I am booked up solid." I was like, I work all the time. I'm up at 5 a.m. for the Indians in India. You know, I'm up late for the Australians. Come on, my classes are all in different places, but I just thought it was so funny, you know. Well, then why don't you charge more? Yeah, if somebody annoys me, I'll charge them more. That's just a joke. Sorry, not sorry. True, not true. Anyway, you decide. But you can change anything. You can change your points of view. You can change ice cream bothering you, all the stuff. I was getting little welts on my stomach, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And I had done the shingles vaccines because my body wanted them. And I was like, God, I really don't want to do that vaccine because I've heard it's horrific. And the first one I did, oh my God, I couldn't lift anything for like 3 or 4 days. So I really put off getting that second shot, but you've got to do it within a certain amount of time or you can't get the second one. Well, my body knows more than I do. It's brilliant. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get that second shot because if I don't get it in time, I'll have to get the first one again. So we're in the Kroger, another plug. And my mother's going through the checkout line. I said, you know what? I'm going to go get that second shot. She goes, you sure you want to do that? Yeah, I'm going to go get that second shot. So I go to get it. I'm in bed for 4 days. Because you know what these vaccines do? They give you what it is that you're trying to fight so you can build up immunity to it. At least that's the science of it. So I had a friend come over to work on me. She worked on me for 6.5 hours. The next day I was 90% myself, and the next day I was fully myself. So getting back to the itching thing, I started itching recently and I couldn't figure out what all that was about, but I've been doing cleanses and IVs and all this stuff to continue to build immunity. And I know I'm going to be traveling overseas, all the things. And so she was here trading bars with me. And I said, you know, I got to get to the bottom of this itching thing. I mean, I've got this bug stuff I put on, takes care of it, but I'm running cellular memory POC turn, and it's not turning it around. The things I'm doing is just not. And she said, well, does it actually have something to do, you know, with those vaccines you got? And I went, it was light. And what I got was it was still processing healing from those 2 injections that I had. And I'd heard later that there were a lot of people that were actually getting now I've forgotten what it's called. What did I get the vaccines for again? I just lost my mind. No, not for COVID. I didn't get shingles, the shingle one. For the shingle one is the one. It was like knocked me off my socks there the second time. And what it was is my body was still doing things to prevent me from having shingles. So and when you itch, that's actually a process that comes up when your body's healing. And we shouldn't make it wrong. It's like when you have a fever or you have any symptoms, that's your body's way of healing you. But we have a tendency to make it wrong. And that's what I was doing. I went to bed last night, I'm itching all over, and I'm trying not to rub it raw. So I'm like doing like this. You guys are going to have to go to YouTube now. And then I had the bug stuff that I put all over it. But once I said that, my body just sighed. And I was like, okay, body, are we done with this? Yes. So that's the thing. Live as the question, not as the answer. You know, if I take an Advil, this will go away, or this is ask, you know, is this salve going to work for me? Do I need to get these shingles shots? Do I need to get these COVID shots? Do I need to get any shots? You know, it's like, because your body always knows, and don't have a point of view about it, you know, and don't have a point of view if other people have points of view about it. If I could teach the world to sing a different harmony, if I could teach the world one thing, sorry, God, ADD, it would be to trust your knowing and go with it regardless of what anybody else says. Even me, I don't care what I tell you. If it's not right for you, don't be stupid and do it just because I said it. Because your body always knows. Wait, mic drop. Your body always knows. So we're coming at the top of the hour here, girl. Was there anything else you want to share with us?
No, just that you're right. The heavy and light tool, I just couldn't. I think that was the last piece I needed to figure out all of the bars things, because I think I was just always in a state of anxiety that forget the heavy and light tools, everything felt heavy. And I couldn't figure that piece out until all the anxiety went away. So
that's how you talk to bodies too. That's the first thing I teach everyone when they come into my bars class, is how to get heavy and light with their bodies, so that when they're talking to the other body, they can say, hey body, do you require anything other than access bars? Because there are other processes that we kind of ninja into the class.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so you can ask their body if they require it. And if they don't, it's not going to run even if you try, because the body's really smart.
Yeah.
But if a person's coming to a class or coming to see you, they're probably going to want their bars run. There's probably going to be other things that they wouldn't have come to you anyway. Dain has a new book out called Body Whispering that explains how we can talk to bodies. And I have the book, but then I got it on Audible. So I've had it in my ear. I've been re-listening to it, and it's amazing. And it's about this body consciousness and being able to know that you can communicate with other bodies. It's not that difficult, y'all. So by all means, don't do it. Anyway, wow. Just like our phone conversations, too much fun. Da-da-da-da-da. Where can people find you if they want to be your friend?
Okay, let's talk about that.
I know you're on the Facebook.
I'm on.
If you have any
Facebook.
questions about what Christina was talking about, you know, she might enlighten you to a few things. I don't know.
Well, you know, of all people, I think I am the perfect advocate for bars, because I don't like touching people. I don't like being in a close proximity. Like, listen, I just moved from New York City. Okay.
Yeah, I get it.
So when you get space, you want to keep that space.
Yeah.
Doing these classes were torture for me in the beginning.
Wow.
Putting my hands on someone's head, letting them put their hands on me. Mm-hmm. And then when we did the facelift, like putting my hands on someone here. Like those kind of things are very uncomfortable for me. Wow. So I knew I had to step out of my comfort zone and just grow up and just do the shit. So, I mean, do the things.
You can say shit on my podcast. You can say just about anything on my podcast. And I won't apologize for the look on your face. So yeah, but you went there. So acknowledge that, and acknowledge how much your life has changed because of it, and what else is truly possible now. Right? Maybe we end with that one. I don't know.
Yes.
I'll have a link underneath if Christina decides she wants to be friends with any of y'all, and that way you can find her. I can't speak for her. So thank you so much for wanting to have this conversation with me.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me come on your podcast.
Absolutely. I can't have the husband without the wife. Well, I could.
You could.
I have had the wife and the husband together on a podcast together. So that's a whole nother podcast. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, please click the subscribe button. If you know anyone this could be a contribution to, would you please share it with them? This podcast is out here for those that are searching. And if you've listened this far, then you're a seeker. So by all means, come play with us crazy people that want more and know that we can create more. So Until next time, and thank you so much again, Christina.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao for now, y'all.